Most students pilots fail their prior pilot check ride for absurd reasons. I've talked with many aspiring pilots, and they think passing the check ride is pretty easy. But there are always people who fail their prior pilot check ride. I have also failed my prior pilot check ride 4 years ago. I never thought I would fail it. It was for a very absurd reason, but let me tell you how I failed my prior pilot check ride and things you should know before taking your check ride. The reason I'm telling you this is that listening to other people's check ride experience is extremely helpful in preparing for your own check ride. When you take the check ride with a DPE who examined your friend's experience is highly valuable. So I highly recommend if you have friends at your flight school, you should definitely ask them about their check ride experiences. Especially in the oral exam, DPEs tend to ask similar questions to different students, and it's like the cheat code if you can memorize the questions your friends got. By listening to this, you will increase your chances of passing your prior pilot check ride. Number 1. Get all your prep work done. Your instructor should have told you the things you need to prepare for your prior pilot check ride, but you need to double check everything yourself. Prep work includes IACRA, bring your own written exam result, government issued ID, medical certificate, logbook, student pilot certificate, and other aircraft documents. I've seen many students who didn't complete their IACRA, and while this wouldn't cause check ride failure, you might need to reschedule. Usually, your instructor would do this for you, but you need to confirm it yourself. I've seen an instructor who didn't complete his students' paperwork, and he got fired that day. Another thing you should be aware of is the aircraft worthiness certificate and registration. I have seen some student who brought the wrong certificate and DPE had to send it back and reschedule the check ride. So please double check all your document and IACRA yourself. Number 2, prepare for your oral exam. Aviation knowledge is critical, so prepare based on the ACS. I highly recommend aiming for at least 85 score on your written exam. It shows your attitude. 70 is enough to pass the exam, but that doesn't mean you're fully prepared with your aviation knowledge. Not only do you need to put extra effort into exceeding 85 score on your written exam, but you also need to prepare for the oral exam separately. It's an open book test, so you can bring all your study materials like POH, FAR-AM, and sectional chart. But when you bring your FAR-AM and sectional chart, make sure they're still current. I've seen some students bring outdated sectional chart, and this definitely wouldn't give a good impression to DPE. If you don't have a paper sectional chart, go to Amazon or Pilot Shop near your airport and buy one. You can use your ForFlight app during the check ride, but DPE might ask you what would you do if the battery died during flight. So always bring the paper chart as a backup. Number 3, simulate your flight plan. Simulating your flight plan in your mind is beneficial for your flight. It's important to know the steps you need to take as the plane flies through different airspaces. By mentally preparing for the flight exam, you can anticipate potential obstacles. You may want to do this for your normal flight training as well. Imaginary flight is also popular among US Navy pilots, and it's proven to be effective in providing cognitive preparation and skill enhancement and procedural reinforcement. So you will be mentally prepared when you go for your check ride. One mistake I made during my prior pilot check ride was with airspace and radio communication. I failed this part because I didn't maintain two-way communication when flying through Class Delta airspace. The DP was silent for a minute, and he finally noticed that I didn't make any correction. I was too used to letting my instructor handle ATC communication, but as PIC, you also need to be prepared to handle ATC yourself. This is especially important since your instructor was likely the one who always handled ATC during your prior pilot training. And when you did mistake, it wouldn't be immediate check ride failure. DP will give you some time and he might ask you to do some correction. But if you don't do anything to make things right, that will be a failure. Make sure you know all the ATC requirement for each airspace class. Now you know some reasons why people fail their prior pilot check ride. Don't assume it will be easy. Prepare for all things the DP might ask you and eliminate any reasons for the DP to failure. DPs also need to maintain reasonable passing ratio, so sometimes they might look for some reasons to failure. But if you perfectly prepared, DP will find no reason to fail you, so be prepared perfectly. Once you become a prior pilot and can fly the plane alone, maybe you can move on to the next training phase, which is instrument rating. Thank you for listening. As always, safe flight and happy landings.